Hi, I'm a professor of politics at the Open University, Faculty of Social Sciences. We recently published a book called Enacting European Citizenship. And in this book, what we've done is to put together the findings of various research projects we've undertaken over 3-4 years from Turkey, from Latvia, from Hungary, as well as from Italy, various research projects on how people are enacting their European citizenship, in the sense that how they bring about their own selves as members of the European project, even though they may not be legal members of the European Union. So we've done some work with sex workers, we've done some work with LGBT groups, we have done work with Kurds, we have done work with Roma people, and the point about all these various projects was to understand under which conditions and circumstances people orient themselves to European institutions and make claims as European citizens, what kind of mechanisms they use, what kind of institutions they use, and what sort of imagination they bring into the European citizenship, and in the process they actually change European citizenship and what it means in general. One of the things that we noticed that these groups do is intensively use social media. They are quite savvy users of the internet. They organize through the internet, use various platforms. We have noticed, but we haven't done this research, but in light of more recent revelations about NSA and the program of PRISM and massive surveillance that many activist groups as well as rather prominent politicians have been subjected to, it raises questions about enacting European citizenship as activist citizens, those who are active through various mechanisms like protests and street protests and organizing and so on. What impact would that have, that being subject to massive surveillance? Much of the focus has been on the issue of privacy, and of course it's a fundamental civil liberty to have privacy when one is engaging in communication. So that's one of the fundamental values of European citizenship. But it also raised other issues. What platforms become available for groups to organize themselves, and to what extent these platforms are transparent and not transparent, and whether these organizing activities should become data that private organizations share for advertising and private corporations. This is something that we didn't do and I would have liked to do. And one of the really important things of being involved in European Alternatives and Europa Festival that we've, TRANSEUROPA Festival that we've been participating in, is precisely these questions of internet surveillance and the loss of privacy, because a lot of the activists really now, it has become a significant agenda. So I do believe that it's significant for activists to continue to use the internet for organizing their activities, but it raises fundamental questions about A, privacy, and B, the freedom from tracking. That we ought to have access to platforms where we can use them freely without fear of being tracked, without fear of our activities becoming data for private corporations. I think that's going to be one of the most significant political issues on the agenda in Europe and European citizenship in the next few years. Not much, and this is a concern. So if you're one of those activists who are already savvy, technical savvy, they call themselves even hacktivists. For them, these platforms are available. Yes, they still can be decoded, decrypted, and so on by authorities, but they are a lot less transparent, a lot more private than what Twitter, Google, Facebook, Tumblr, and other platforms are providing. But the reality is that these people are not in huge numbers, and their services and help is not readily available. For the rest of us who are active, we are sort of naturally drawn into these dominant platforms now, the Facebook and so on, all those I named. This is a major problem. On the one hand, they are technically available, but these platforms are not available to the rest of us in an easy to access manner. This is where the European Union and European politics can play a significant role, and in turn we can make it actually articulated as a demand as European citizens that we should be provided these kinds of platforms. At a minimum, not only an issue of privacy, but for example, European Union can set up a funding to help people to get platforms designed for them by European experts and European activists who are willing to provide their services. This would be a significant mechanism to demand from the European Union. And I'm sure there are others we can think about, but as a direct response to your question, what other platforms are available, the answer is they are technically available, but practically not feasible. We have to make them practically feasible for activists to use. I wouldn't provide a blanket advice saying that we have to drop them. I think that's both dangerous as well as problematic, because people have been drawn to these platforms and different forms of media for good reasons. And they are also aware, many of the people who are using these media are aware of some of the pitfalls. I think at this point in time, until such time that these platforms we discussed become available, we make them available, the advice would be proceed with caution. It is really important to develop awareness that things that really matter to us in intimate ways, in things that we want to keep rather secret, not because we have secrets to hide, but because secrecy is a fundamental value of interhuman communication, intercultural communication. Until such time, platforms that we are pleased with and satisfied with become available, we have to be very cautious. So proceed with caution, become aware, spread the word, use it in narrow ways and clever and smart ways, but not in ways that will make us vulnerable. All the same, realizing that all of it is not only watched, but also archived in ways that we cannot control.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.